Today we're going to look at using external controllers such as Midi or ArtNet inside of your Salvation patches. So there are a couple of different ways you can apply Midi and ArtNet inside of Salvation. You can either right click on specific parameters on modules and choose either Midi or ArtNet via that way, or you can use some of the dedicated modules that we've got. If we look into the module tree, in the Midi section we've got separate modules for external clock inputs, so if you're using some kind of timecode source, or Midi continuous controllers or keys, and you'll see that we have, for a lot of them, we've got both in and out modules, and also devices which let us specify the default Midi adapter. In the network section, we have a couple of ArtNet modules. We've got a couple of ArtNet inputs, a small one which is just a few channels, and a large one which is around 30 channels. And we also have the ArtNet server, which is our ArtNet output module. So first of all, let's make ourselves a really simple patch just so that we can see our values coming into into Salvation, and we can see what effect they're having. So I'm going to insert a module. I'm going to add a generator rectangle, so that was our white rectangle that we had before, and then we need to see the output, so I'm going to go GL window, and we're going to connect those together like so and open the window. Okay, so we can see our white square there. So first of all, let's think about what I said with being able to assign Midi directly onto a module itself. So I'm going to adjust this letterbox parameter, and what the letterbox parameter does is it chooses whether our image is showing the full image within our output window or whether it's cropped or stretched or so on. So just to confirm, if I go to something like crop, we'll see the area fill. So let's just assign a simple Midi controller to that parameter. So if I right click on the drop down menu itself, the one that says letterbox at the moment, and I'm going to choose Edit Midi Map. So I'm going to come in here, in the Midi device, on the drop down there I'm going to choose the device that I want to control this. Now I've got a couple of Midi controllers connected here. I've got a Korg Nano controller and an Akai MPK mini keyboard controller. I think for this one I'm going to use one of the controllers on the Nano control. So I select the Nano control as my input. If I know the specific channel, I can specify a specific channel. Omni will listen to all channels though. I can then click, I can either enter the value of the controller if I know the value, but if I'm not sure and I just want it to listen to whichever controller I'm going to use, if I press learn, if I then move the controller on the Korg Nano control, we should see it picks up that value. There we go. Now we can see that when I actually change my values there, you can see I'm changing my crop mode. So it's going from crop there to letterbox there, crop there to letterbox. And if I just move that out of the way a little bit, you'll actually see that drop down entry changing there. Crop to letterbox, crop, letterbox, like so. Okay, now the reason we're only seeing the first two there is, I just let my window go behind, there we go. It's because we've got a range of 0 to 1 by default. So I'm going to enable my output range, and I'm going to put that to 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Press enter. Then now hopefully when I move my control, there we go, we've got all 4 values now. So nice and simple. So that's a really easy way to control a parameter on a module. Now let's maybe assign 3 other controllers to the color input, so we can have separate red, green and blue controllers. So first of all, let me just close that window with the little X. Now, as we saw in the other tutorial, a color is a vector, so that's several numbers combined to give the resulting RGB value. So I'm going to need to combine 3 different Midi inputs. So we're going to use a math vector join module. Let's put him there and connect that to the input of the color. And then we're going to use 3 Midi input modules. So let's go for the first one. Insert module Midi CC in. And what I'll do, I'll set up one and then I'll add another. And actually what we can do here, we can see that each of these modules is allowing for us to actually have 2 channels of different controls on the same module. So in reality we only need to add another of these modules. So I'm going to just copy and paste. That's the standard Control C, Control V, and then place with my left mouse button. I'm going to connect the first one to the first input, second to the second, then on my next module, the first one there to my third. So that gives us 3 input channels. And we can see at the moment our square has gone completely black. That is primarily because we don't have a controller specified, but also the control value is at 0 at the moment. So let's assign those controls. So I choose my device, my Korg Nano. I'm going to do that on the second one as well. I'm going to press Learn on that first control. Let's move the control. Again, the second control, so this is now our green. And the third control should now be our blue. There we go. And so now if I actually move those controls, so let's take them all down. Let's put the red up, let's put the blue up, and the green up. And you can actually see on the module itself, there's a parameter there. That manual potentiometer will change value. So you can see just there, it's changing as I move that value. So we can actually see those real-time values there. Okay, so that's a really nice, easy way to have very specific input there as well. Now we've also got MIDI key inputs. So I'm going to go to MIDI and key in. Now the difference with a controller and a key value, a controller is a varying value from 0 to 128 in MIDI terms. So it can hit any range, any value between those range, whereas a key is a note on or off. In some terms we refer to this as a boolean, yes, no, black, white, on, off, that kind of thing. So just to give you an idea of the variation there, I'm going to disconnect my color controllers and I'm going to connect the key straight in to the color port. Now with keys there's actually 2 sections. There's the gate, which is the on and off, and the velocity, which is how hard that key is hit. So if you think of a piano, you can have a very soft note or you can have a very loud harsh note. So you can have velocity, the strength of the signal. We're going to use the gate. So let's connect our gate to the color, and this is doing it like this is just going to control R, G and B all with the same value. Again, I'm going to come in. Now this time I'm going to choose my MPK Mini, and I'm going to press Learn, press the key on my keyboard, like so. And so now you can see that when I press the key on the keyboard, if I hold it in, my white rectangle stays on, and you can see while I've got that held in that this little button next to gate is actually pressed in to show that the signal is being received. And as soon as I let go, that little block will disappear and my color will go back to black, which is my 0 value. So like so. So you can see that I can just tap my key on my keyboard as I want and control it like that. So a couple of useful ways of using MIDI. Sometimes you want an on-off, a boolean. Sometimes you want a floating value from 0 to 128. As I mentioned, we've got ArtNet modules as well. So network, we've got ArtNet inputs small and large. They work fundamentally the same way as the MIDI devices. On these ones you specify the channel and the universe that you want, and you can also choose your ArtNet adapter on your system as well. As well as that, it is worth mentioning that you can also do the ArtNet through the right click as well, and that will actually give you an identical window to the small ArtNet module. If for any reason you need to send out your values, maybe you've worked on a value in the system and you need to send it back out to something external, both of those sections do have output modules as well. So MIDI, we've got controller out and key out. So I could quite simply take a controller input and connect it to my out if I wanted, and you can actually tell it what channel you wanted to send that value on and which controller number you wish it to use. And in the network section we have the ArtNet server, which is quite a large module, and this is one designed for multiple channels of ArtNet output. So you can see you can have a lot of control over the MIDI assignment. You can either control directly on the module or you can use specific modules to input to specific ports, and the benefit with that is that you could then put maths modules further in line to actually modify that value in real time.